less socially democratic, like Trump and his congressional Democratic leaders hold briefing on Elon Musk getting access to the government.
Yet Elon Musk took issue with that warning. He said, in answer to a tweet that I said that did this, he said, Doge, quote, is the one shot that the American people
I
have.
can't watch this. I can't watch this. I can't watch this, man. This is going to make me feel worse. I feel worse when I look at the Democrats than I do when I look at the Republicans. When I look at the news and the Republicans are like, we have made it illegal to smile in public, and dog kicking is now mandatory. I'm like, oh, those crazy scams. And then when I see the Democrats respond to that in the way that they do, it genuinely makes me feel a lot worse. Look at my lawyer, dog. I'm going to the Trump gulags.
Have to defeat bureaucracy
The
and restore democracy.
The true
break. Nothing screams democracy like having a secret squad of company men pull off a hostile takeover of America's Social Security and tax information in the dead of night. That is not democracy.
That's great, man.
Democracy. We know what democracy's like. It's out in the open. It's not secret. You do two sides debate.
It genuinely is like insane and sickening that of the two parties, the Democrats are the less socially democratic. Like Trump and his cronies do way more to respond to the public interest and shape the public interest than Democrats do. It's insane. Like, imagine being this bad at understanding what your base wants when you are the Democratic Party, both in name and in intent, and your opposition is fascists,
And then the elected officials make decisions.
First of all, I'm honored. Second of all, what are you subscribed to? Like 3 people?
And it doesn't give special
I'm
privilege
nobody,
to
bro. I have
ideas
147 subscribers or something like that.
wealthy people at the expense of American families. Of course, we should talk about reform.
Also, his suit fits like shit. You've been gaining weight, Schumer.
Find ways to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of government. But you know what history shows? When it's done in the dark of night,
15
it
what?
always leads to bad results. When these Doge
15
people
what,
decide to
Cameron?
run a program, have they even talked to the people who run the program?
I'm sorry, I just realized I didn't actually send
Thank you so
video
much.
files over to my
You don't have a
editors.
channel, do
That's
you?
kind of part of
I'll sub to your channel.
the process. Okay.
Right? Have they even done a little research? Have they heard the other side?
David Hogg is now DNC vice chair. That's hopeful. Is it? I don't really like David Hogg at all. Even a little bit, to be honest.
Or are they just in such rush to cut anything they can so that they can keep tax breaks and give deeper tax breaks to the wealthiest of Americans? Undoubtedly not. They are not checking. They are not debating. They are not doing things in sunlight.
Thanks for the like, by the way.
We want reform. We like to cut waste, but do it in front of the American people. Hear the arguments. Have the back and forth that has been the hallmark of this republic for over 200 years. You don't have a small group of select people who have little experience.
Remember how bombastic the DNC was? Like the actual event, the convention. How did they pull that off? Like, how did they pull that off when all of their leadership is this?
Are you referring to me, Jerry Johnson?
Breaths of government have access to these records and an ability to cut funding.
Oh, you're good, Cameron. Take your time, bro. We're just chilling. I'm gonna be streaming off and on all day. No worries. Poet. Nice to meet you, Poet. And yes, I definitely voted for Trump. 3 times. Happy to say so.
To sound the alarm and fight with everything we've got to stop this
What about you?
horrible act by this
Aw.
Just
What a man, Cameron.
I'm seething.
Of Donald Trump.
Ah, appreciate you, Poet.
Leader Jeffries. Thank you, Leader Schumer.
man of the Senate. He was a man of the House. And so we always welcome you back over to the People's Chamber.
You know what I saw for the first time last night with my friends?
Democrats.
That was a really good movie.
I'm trying to assess the gay levels of what you just said, Mr. Johnson. Sounds fun if it's just some bro shit.
To solve problems on behalf of hardworking American taxpayers, particularly as it relates to driving.
That's awesome that you think that, Cameron.
Jesus.
I'm blessed to be in the presence of such greatness from all of you people.
There is a difference between people who don't care at all and people who have no idea what they're doing. And if the Democrats didn't care at all, I don't think
Fair
seeing
enough,
them would
Jerry, fair
upset me
enough.
so much. The fact that he's
Armor,
still responding
swords,
to
stuff like
inflation-based
that.
talking points when Elon
Feasting,
Musk is literally like
women.
deployed a team
I get it.
of 15-year-old
Deep bro
groypers
stuff.
into the Treasury Department to set up private servers and manually block payments issued by Congress in violation of the constitutional right of the power of the purse. Like, it's not just that they don't care, though that's definitely a part of it. It's that they're inept on levels that you and I, that we all
I've been meaning to do that my entire life, actually.
You know?
Unironically.
America is too expensive. There are far too many hardworking American taxpayers struggling to live paycheck to paycheck. Housing costs are too high. Grocery costs are too high. Child care costs are too high. Insurance costs are too high. Utility costs are too high. America is too expensive. Democrats are committed to driving down the high cost of living for working class Americans, middle class Americans, and everyday
What am I
Americans all
doing?
across the land. Our Republican colleagues.
I'm hate watching Vosh. That's what I'm doing.
When Hitler took over, I have to like.
But
bring it
mostly I'm
back,
talking to
like,
you
I
guys.
just have to wonder, like,
But I
where
do
the
want to hate watch
Democrats
Vosh a
rank
little.
in incompetence to other parties that have fallen to their fascist opponents. You know, like I'm just curious, like what because I have to think, and maybe this is naive of me. I feel like the Democrats might be uniquely, exceptionally bad at reading the room. You know what I mean? Not to say the SPD weren't terrible, but this is like astonishing. Look up history then? Oh, okay. I'll go look up history. Thank you. I appreciate that. I was looking for a specific source, but now I know.
Serious
Google history.
about lowering the high cost of living. They've done nothing. Introduced not a single bill. Not put forth a single policy.
Running a business is tough, but renting a vehicle for your business.
Policy proposal. They've done nothing as it relates to lowering the high cost of living. At the same time, they are raiding the government, attempting to steal taxpayer money.
Wow.
That's what the situation at the Treasury Department is all about.
It's like a failing upward thing, because Hakeem Jeffries, I think we can all agree, is a mediocre, dead-faced, fish-eyed freak. Looking at him, you are convinced for a moment that there is no value to a human life or soul, that there is nothing beyond like the fleeting mortal dregs of existence, pain and suffering, until you return to the dirt once more. And then you see like a puppy or a cat or...
Good God, I feel so bad for him. But at the same time, I'm just enjoying silently watching him struggle and suffer.
like a normal person, and it's fine again. It's not just that he's bad, he's uniquely bad. I think part of it genuinely is just that like Democrats get Jeffries is worse than Pelosi. Don't even speak their names in the same sentence, okay?
It's good for
Like
him.
we give Pelosi
Okay.
a lot of shit because
In
she's
my
very
defense,
prominent.
it's good for
Pelosi
him.
dog walks these motherfuckers, both of these two,
And
like
everyone.
easily in like every possible respect. Maybe I'm being a dunce, but what's the difference between Jeffrey's concern for the economy and
Little bit of
Bernie's?
growing
I'm
up.
sorry, I blacked out
Usually
in the
never
middle
hurt
of reading
anyone.
that. I think my mouth might have been on autopilot. My brain didn't catch any of that. I am not sure if I can answer.
We will introduce the Stop the Steal Act in short order to prevent unlawful access with respect to the Department of Treasury's payment system connected to people who are trying to steal personal, sensitive, and confidential information related to Social Security recipients, Medicare recipients, taxpayers, businesses, not-for-profits, veterans, and everyday Americans. It's unacceptable, unconscionable, and un-American. Stop the Steal Act will prevent.
Can he show any emotion? Are you looking at his eyes? Even most centrist Dems don't like that. Oh yeah, literally, if you go out and you look at how Democrats are acting on social media right now, find me, and I mean this, literally one regular Democrat liberal who's like, yes, Jeffries, thank you so much for standing up for us. Nobody is happy right now. 0 people are happy with this. It's not just a lefty versus Democrat thing. The Democratic voter base, over 100 million Americans who are aligned more with the Democrats, none of them. 0. I'm staking all of it. If even a single Democratic voter is happy with this, I can't say what I'll do on YouTube.com. I'll drink a lot of water until my tummy hurts, but not so much that it causes harm to myself. But thankfully I won't have to, because nobody likes this. I just want you guys to understand that this isn't like the Democratic voter. I'm not out here defending the honor of the Democratic voter. A lot of them are cucked. I'm not saying that they're not. I'm just saying this is something else.
It's unlawful access from taking place. It's unfortunate that many of our Republican colleagues are determined to stand up a shadow government of the billionaires, by the billionaires, and for the billionaires. That will stick it to the American people. That's what's driving much of the behavior on the other side of the aisle. Because at the end of the day, my House Republican colleagues are determined to pass massive tax cuts for their billionaire donors and wealthy corporations, and then stick working class Americans with the bill by doing things like ending Medicaid as we know it. We won't stand for it.
Jesus Christ! Even in a delivery on a line like ending Medicaid, he begins the next sentence immediately. It's not just a lack of charisma; it's anti-charisma. It's like somebody trained him to deliver information in a way that holds no attention at all. I don't think it's possible to listen to this and follow along with what.
That's what happened.
Act against it, and because we're confident.
Are you looking for more in this world? Are you ready to be part of?
Against it, and because we're confident that the American people are on our side.
How did these people get into office in the first place? The Democrats elevate the most inoffensive and centrist among them because they need a powerful inner circle of anti-populists to prevent any real populists or effective leaders from getting too high up in the ranks and pushing for things that would anger their corporate donors. That's the reason why, genuinely. Like, they deliberately elevate people like this because they need them as a shield against people like AOC. Yeah, but how do people vote for these people? Because the Democrats spend a lot of money convincing people that they're good. I bet you guys that most of the time that you've heard Jeffries or Schumer mentioned, it was in text or a video referencing them. You probably haven't actually seen them speak that much, despite their very high prominence within the party. And part of that is because you watch me, and I don't tend to cover these abject failures.
Russia,
you know,
for sure.
as much as maybe some other people would, maybe some more liberal channels. But a lot of that is also because the Democrats are relying on incumbency bias in safe seats to keep these guys in their positions until they die, until they're like 95 years old.
We will stop it.
Questions on this subject? Yes.
Well, Senator, Republicans have argued that this is not an effort to cut government quite yet, that this is just a review process, that they're looking at how the money is spent.
Elon has literally explicitly said he's blocking payments. They've already done so. It's by their own words, this is false. This is fascist propaganda.
And they're trying to come up with a plan to make sure that it's spent correctly. Is your issue with the process here, or is your issue that Elon Musk is the one that's in charge of it?
Our issue is, of course, with the whole process, secret, behind closed doors, And
No, it is objectively a violation of the Constitution.
you say they don't want to cut. Look, when we saw what they tried to freeze payments to just about
I
everything,
feel you, Cameron.
what they want to do.
No, that was different. That's the memo. That's the memo that Trump put forward that led to the illegal spending
we're
freeze.
kinda
That's
doing that
different from
either
Elon
way.
Musk taking over the Department of
I
the
mean,
Treasury. That's a separate
if
issue.
we
Are you
give
mixing
him
those
money,
two up?
So
What
our
are
belief
we
is
actually
there's a
getting
real
for that?
danger, terrible danger, and a looming danger
Like,
that they will not only
what
have
would them
access to
winning even
Americans'
look like?
privacy,
They already do. They already do. It's not they will. They do. They objectively do. We know for a fact that they do. They already barricaded themselves inside the building and set up a private server. We already know. This already happened. This press conference is from like an hour ago. It already happened.
information, but that they will use that to cut programs left and
But how
right.
specifically are you concerned about Musk himself? Is he?
We're concerned-
What about God King Musk, or what about the epic bacon Doge man who narwhals at midnight? What about him? Isn't he epic? Do you have a problem with him, or do you just have Elon derangement syndrome? Do you have a problem with plutocrats taking control of our government and illegally blocking payments?
That Musk is in charge of Doge, but we're concerned about how the whole process works. And ultimately, the buck falls with Donald Trump, the president. But we are concerned that a small number of people are concerned with the whole process, including Musk and including the others who are in it.
As Leader Schumer indicated, the problem lies with some individuals who have been put in charge of this raid.
No, the problem is not with the people who are put in charge. The entire process is a violation of the law. It's not. It wouldn't matter. Even if they had the security credentials to be in the Department of the Treasury and access secure information, that wouldn't change the fact that what they're doing is a violation of the Constitution.
On the government, including Elon Musk. But it also relates to the so-called special government employees who aren't required to adhere to the ethical laws and the disclosure requirements that were put in place by Congress in a bipartisan way for a reason, to make sure that people have the best interests of the American people at heart. And that clearly
great,
is
man.
not the case as it relates to this unlawful access to the Treasury payment system.
When it's something so important as to who the government helps, it should be done in a way that adheres to our democratic principles: openness, debate.
This isn't about democratic principles. It's a violation of the Constitution, the law of the land. It's like it's a coup. If January
Quick
6th
question,
had succeeded,
Cameron.
I bet you this is what we could have looked forward to. By the way, if like a third of
If
the
you could
Democratic
turn
House
America
members
into
and
a
Pence
democratic
had been hanged,
monarchy,
and you had
rather
like
than a
QAnon shaman
democratic
wandering
republic,
around the Capitol building,
would you
the
do it?
Democrats would set up like emergency conferences where they would
like it would
denounce
be a
like the
lot.
rude,
It would
mean,
be similar to
and
the system
icky
we have now,
way in
except
which
the
Trump
president would
expressed
actually
his.
be a real
Maybe
king,
if he has legitimate
elected for
grievances with
life.
the elector count,
But then
then
there would be some
perhaps
sort of
he
system
should
for
take
having
that up
another
in court.
election to elect another king if we want to.
Discussion and reflecting a broad group of people who have inputs
Do
into it,
you
not
like
just
democracy?
a very limited few meeting in secret.
It's unconstitutional. It does not matter how many people are involved in it. Congress holds the power of the purse strings.
What other recourse do Democrats have? Obviously, you guys are in the minority on
Don't
both
ask
sides
that.
of the Capitol. What can you guys be doing when this is money that you have appropriated to be spent both in the
No,
federal
no.
freeze
Now
and
I'm
in the international
confused.
freeze?
We have four different ways of recourse. The first
Hello,
is
Cutie
just
Ivy.
bringing
How are
this
you
to
doing?
light,
Wow.
making sure that the American people know what it is. We've had
Nothing inspires you more, nothing fills you with more confidence when you get hit with that. We have four ways of responding to the fascist takeover of government. Number one, this press conference. Oh, that's great. We're off to a really good start. I hope 2 through 4 a little more compelling.
some success there already.
Oh,
When we brought the freeze of funds to the public, there was an outcry, and Trump had to back off. When we brought up the tariffs to the American people, there was an outcry, and Trump had to back off. I believe there'll be even a greater outcry, or as much an outcry as this. The second thing,
I don't necessarily disagree.
Have fun at practice,
That-
Cameron. Talk to you later.
that a component of what happened with the freeze and the tariffs was the public backlash, but Democrats had nothing to do with that at all. All of the energy and buzz around that was driven by, at
Baseball
this point,
practice,
like
I hope.
independent media, like influencers and shit, or
But
regular
it could
people.
be anything.
I'm serious. I know, like, this
do
used to
everything.
not be a good way of measuring things, and now I think it's better than ever. Like, just take a look at who's getting retweeted. If you look at Chuck Schumer's Twitter post, 300 likes, 4,000 comments telling him, do something. Why don't you do something? It's activists, you know? The Democrats are worthless and nobody wants to hear from them.
We have is litigation. There are various groups that are already because they believe that this is against the law. And we are working with them in terms of giving them information, telling them what we know, helping make their court case as strong as possible. The third is oversight. In the Senate, we're going to have some shadow hearings which discuss what this is, and we're asking whistleblowers across Treasury and other places, we're talking to some of them already, to come forward. And the final is legislation. On the appointments, they don't need Democrats. But on legislation, particularly the funding resolution, they do need us. And we will insist that there be certain changes that undo these bad things. Go ahead, you take the next one.
Well, that's good. We will, the next budget reconciliation bill, we will insist, okay. We will insist they stop cooing the government immediately.
What they're targeting now is things that conservatives and Republicans have long targeted, I guess with the exception of the FBI in a sense. Do you think Republicans will ever bring a line in the sand? And if so, what might it be?
That's an open question. And in the House, where the Republicans have the smallest majority of any party since the Great Depression, when they're at full strength, at this moment, they're not at full strength and will shortly be 217 Republicans.
Literally, why not say we will force them to stop? Because the one fundamental truth is something that nobody in this room wants to acknowledge. The Democrats, because it admits their weakness and ineptitude, and the Republicans, because it gives their hand away. Which is that the fact that what they're doing is illegal means in a normal system, the cops would be walking them out of there in handcuffs. Why hasn't that happened? Because the cops don't listen to them. And that fact precedes everything else that follows. It does not matter who is right or wrong, who is in the right legally or not. At the end of the day, power is, comes in the form of the coin and gun, and Trump has both. And that's it. What else can you do?
And it's 215 Democrats. That'll be the smallest majority since the 1800s.
What else can you do, Flash? Here's what else you can do. You can debate me live on my channel or yours. That's what you can do. You're welcome. Or anyone like me. Or really anyone. And